Thank you very much. Good evening, friends. I extend a very warm welcome to our 159th webinar on interim recommendation of the expert committee on amendments in ICDR and LODR regulations. Friends, as you are aware, this is our 159th webinar, and since 2020, 28th April, we are continuously organizing without any break, except the break of holidays. Another thing, we are continuously holding our webinar and bringing out the topics relevant to the corporate and the professionals. Friends, as you are aware, the objective of today's webinar is to discuss the recommendation put forward by SEBI appointed expert committee and gain insights into the potential implication and impact of proposed changes. The various perspectives and suggestions of the participant coming out at the webinar will be collated and sent to SEBI for its consideration. Friends, the purpose of our webinar of SEBI or ministries, any consultative paper, is that today we should be proactive, not the reactive. So if you are a proactive, then if the government is asking, regulator is asking certain views on paper before making law, it is advisable and it is in our favor that we professionals should come forward, tell them the other sides of the coin, and if there are any suggestions, we should provide. So this is also the same line, and SEBI is also in the mood that they want to change various things now. There's a one word is moving around in the entire corridor of the regulator and government: ease of doing business. And they want to remove the irrelevant things. They want to rationalize it. They want to make it more corporate friendly, more investor related things. So that's why SEBI appointed this expert committee to facilitating ease of doing business and harmonizing of the provision of ICDR and LODR regulation. And they constituted a committee on 24th August 2023 under the chairmanship of Mr. S.K. Mohanty, the ex-member of SEBI, with the objective to facilitating ease of doing business for listed entities in India. Now, SEBI has released a consultative paper on interim recommendation of the expert committee for facilitating ease of doing business and harmonization of provision of ICDR and LODR. Because ICDR is relating to when you are bringing out capital, and LODR is to maintaining this. But there are so many places where there is a ambiguity, there is a confusion, there is a different interpretation, different law also. So they want to harmonize this. The expert committee has recommended changes in LODR regulation on applicability of regulation on the basis of market capitalization, limit of membership and chairmanship of committee for the director, filing up the vacancies of KMP, timeline for prior intimation of board meeting and gap between meeting of risk management committee. These are 5-6 points that is connected to LODR they have brought out. Then further, the expert committee has recommended changes in ICDR regulation for inclusion of equity shares received on conversion of exchange on fully paid compulsory convertible securities and depository received for the purpose of minimum promoter contribution. Non-individual shareholders to be permitted to contribute towards minimum promoter's contribution without being identified as a promoter. Threshold for increase or decrease in issue size, triggering refiling of draft offer documents, and flexibility to extend the bid offer closing date on account of force majeure events minimum for 1 day instead of present requirement of extended by minimum 3 days. So these are the points which in LODR and ICDR they have brought out, and it looks attractive, interesting, and the changes which they have proposed, then there must be some reason the committee has deliberated, the industry has required. But today we want to deliberate threadbare that whether this change is sufficient or something more should be there, whether this change, they have to take care of some other aspects which can be a loopholes, people should not take advantage, and in a way we will give our opinion, and that's why we have expert panel with us. SEBI's deadline is February 1st, so this program is apt and we want to discuss today. So I extend first very hearty welcome to our learned speaker for today's webinar. First, we have Mr. K.S. Ravichandran, Managing Partner, KSR, and Company Secretary, LLP. He is one of the prominent company secretary, and in a way, he is doing criminals also. So he is one of the most sought after professional in the knowledge side also and the professional side. I welcome KSR. He's from Coimbatore. Welcome KSR for this. Then we have Amit Gupta, PCS and insolvency professional, and he's from Lucknow. He's also a very eminent and a very learned company secretary and doing practice. So his view and KSR view will be helpful to us. Then we have Anjali Agarwal, Partner Head, Capital Market Service, Corporate Professional. Then Ankit Singhi, Head Corporate Affairs, Compliance, Corporate Professional. Mr. Manoj Kumar, Partner and Head, M&A and Transaction, Corporate Professional. And then Ms. Ruchika Sharma, Associate Partner, Corporate Professional. Now, friends, today's program structure, I'll just tell you. We have divided into two parts. One is the LODR issue and second is ICDR. So what we will do, they have suggested around 5 points in LODR. So Ankit will give a presentation of each topic and each point, and he will tell the facts, what is the law and what they are proposing. And then I will ask queries from my expert panel. So what we will do, we will see this, that whatever questions we have received and whatever questions it has will emerge, we will ask and we'll try whether this particular amendment is perfect or it requires some modification or something should be there or some other aspects which the regulator or the committee has not seen. We'll try to bring out this. And then I'll request the public also, to all participants, that please write your questions and send it to us so we can ask. If the question is coming on the topic wise, we'll ask that time. Otherwise, we'll ask at the last if we are missing that particular thing. And in between, we will do the poll also. So all these questions, all these suggestions which SEBI has come out, we will give a poll. So all the people can participate. And then by compiling all the points, we will submit to the SEBI and along with the poll result also. So SEBI, when they will discuss the comments of the public, they can use it and it can come out a good law which can be useful for everybody, and the purpose of regulator, purpose of government can be fulfilled. So now I will request Ankit Singhi to give a presentation of proposal amendment in LODR. Then I will request after that Ruchika will give on ICDR. So over to you, Ankit. And after telling this, there is a question, so you stop there. And in the meantime, any participant or any panelist has any other question related to this, they can raise also. So over to you, Ankit.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. So I think last week discussed the consultation paper on the proposals of SEBI on market rumor related clause under Regulation 30 of LODR. And so moving ahead, this webinar is on to some other proposals that SEBI has come out on various changes in the LODR regime along with ICDR. So as discussed, I'll take you through the proposals which are related to LODR, and then my colleague Ruchika will discuss the other proposals related to ICDR. So starting with the proposals with respect to LODR. So we all are aware that there are various regulations under the LODR where the applicability
Can you be
is
little louder?
Yeah. So
Please.
where the applicability is not on the basis of general acceptance to all listed entities, and these are applicable basis the market capitalization on a on and in most of the cases the market capitalization is on the last day of the preceding financial year. So like for example 31st March 2023, if your number of shares of the company multiplied by the market price, a market capitalization is derived, and if you are among us the top 1000, top 100, top 250 category, the basis the relevant list in which you are following, the relevant regulation is applicable on you. So we have taken a tabular presentation which also forms part of the report of the working committee, on which highlighting various regulations where the capitalization norms are applicable. So while the capitalization norms are there, there were some challenges with respect to the compliance on norms, because as and when these norms were triggering on a company like 31st March 2023, first of all, it is generally in a day or a couple of days later, there is a list which is being issued by the relevant exchanges highlighting the capitalization list, and you find out whether you are on 1000, 100, which among the list you are there. But as soon as that list is out, but the date is 31st March, the compliance is triggered. And there were no specific timelines which were prescribed as to how and when within how much time then you have to undertake that compliance. For example, there is a list of 100 and on December 31st. So generally, every year on December 31st and 31st March, two lists are being issued just to give you a comfort in terms of to allow you to ascertain which number you are at 31st December, and then you can plan. And you are at, for example, at 600 number in December 31st, and suddenly you are among top 100 because of sudden increase in price as on 31st March, and there are some applicabilities on as a top 100 company. Then you're not prepared because there's a steep increase, you were not prepared, and then there is no specified timeline that was outlined under anywhere. Whenever any norm on the basis of market capitalization was applicable, there was no specified period as to which the compliance can be done, and most of the companies end up some who are able to forecast that okay, they will be within this range and they can do the compliance accordingly will are ready, but many of them are not ready and they find it difficult to meet that compliance, and then the non-compliance triggers, and they also receive notices from the exchanges. So in order to I think give a relief to such situation where it gets triggered immediately on 31st March and there is no timeline, a 3 months timeline has been outlined under the law, under the proposal, that when you ascertain that market capitalization has triggered, then 3 months timeline has been given. And then one another thing is also suggested among us the proposals, that in most of the cases, the market capitalization is triggered on 31st March 20, on the end of the preceding year. So there is a suggestion as part of the proposal that instead of 31st March, check the triggering date as December 31st. And then from there, you give 3 months time to comply. So if you are on that top list basis 31st December, then next 3 months are being given you to undertake compliance, so that on beginning from the next financial year, you are in a state to undertake that compliance and meet the requirement of the relevant application. So first was a timeline of 3 months. Second was to reduce the change the timeline for ascertaining the eligibility from 31st March to 31st December. Then another important is that instead of looking at a market capitalization on a one individual day, whether it is 31st March, whether it is 31st December, there were committee look into that. That should not be the criteria for determining a compliance, because one day market capitalization should not be the basis for determining the applicability of certain category of regulations. So what they identified, that during a period of last 6 months, starting from July to 31st December, an average of market capitalization will be prepared basis the market capitalization on each day. And then on the basis of that average capitalization, a list will be prepared of top 1000 or top 100, top 500. And basis that capitalization, your compliance will trigger. So shifting 31st March to 31st December, then instead of single day market cap, the market cap is based on the average of 6 months from July to December 31st March. And third factor is that if you are registered in 2 exchanges or more than 2, then the rating which is highest among the top of all three basis the rating announced by will be calculated for the will be the final rating for the purpose of determining the eligibility basis your market capitalization. So these are the key proposals that have been outlined under the market capitalization scenario, and in I have also outlined the rationale, what were the reasons behind which these proposals have been made, and illustration was also given. And another last point is also with respect to sunset clause. So now in May 2021, if you see under Regulation 3 of LODR, a proviso was a regulation was introduced, sub-regulation was introduced, where it was said that once a regulation is applied on you on the basis of market capitalization, then it continues to apply irrespective of your market capitalization. If you, for example, if you are among us 100, then you fall down to 200 or then 500, but you still need to comply that specific regulation that was applicable to you. The committee also looked into this factor that a capitalization is, first of all, the rationale of capitalization is to ascertain the size of the company and then apply a particular compliance. So if you are out of that size, then why you should be subject to that level of compliance, which is expected to be compliant by a company of that size. But there is no provision under the current regulation which allows you to get out of that domain, because once the compliance is triggered, it there remains there for a long period of time. So there is a requirement that there is a suggestion as part of the proposal that there is a 3-year clause that has been outlined. So if for 3 years you are not able to meet the criteria of the specific ranking under which a specific compliance was triggered on you, then you would be out of the compliance regime following the next financial year. So if 3 continuous years you are not able to comply the requirement out of that market capitalization, then you will be out of the requirement to undertake that compliance. An example was also given. So in this case, on 31st December 2023, in case of company X, you were amongst the top 1,001 company. So from 2024, you were supposed to undertake that compliance. So 2024, you will be undertaking that compliance. 2025, 2026, 2025, 26, 26, 27. On all these years, silver, you were, even on 24 and 25, you were out of the 1,000 limit. You were supposed to undertake that compliance. But since on 31st December 2026, for third year continuity, you were out of the range of 1,000. Then from third year, the condition has been met that 3 financial years, 31st December, you are out of the top 1,000 range, then the compliance will not get triggered, which were applicable on you, basis that market capitalization from financial year 2027, 2028. If you see the opposite applicability illustration of company A, company Y, you see in 31st December 2026, the company again came down to under 1,000. So therefore, the continuity again triggered, and then it has to again go for a period of 3 years, and then see after a period of 3 years, then when that eligibility will be met or not. So if you see in the same case in 2020 in company Y, if you see in the last, when it is 1060, from that financial year it was again out. When it was 2026, the condition was again met because he went down under 1,000, and then again the 3-year cycle was triggered. And then when the 3-year cycle ends, at the end of the third year, he continued to be out of the 1,000 range, and then from next year onwards, from the next year financial year, the compliance will not be applicable to you. So this example gives you a clear indication as to how the calculation will trigger in case the market capitalization keeps on changing. So in order to be out of it, you have to be out of that market capitalization number for a continuous period of 3 years, and that is on all corresponding December 31st for the following years, in order to get out of it. And of the third year, then you get out of the relevant financial year to undertake that compliance. So
okay.
So these are the proposals which were outlined under the consultation paper with respect to market.
Ankit, thank you for this particular point. So what we'll do, each point I will, after completion, Ankit, your voice is, you're not.
Yeah.
So after the each point, I will rake up this point. So, KSR, first I will ask you and Amit that this particular clause they have changed or they are proposed to change. Their market capitalization should not be on 31st March, but it should be on the basis of December and then 6 months back. So they have multiple calculation. What is your view that why this was needed?
Yeah, good evening to everyone. And this appears to be the only reason, as per the rationale provided, is that on 31st March of a particular financial year, you come to know about it. And immediately the 1st April starts and the provisions apply. So if this is the rationale, and therefore they have given some ranking which is based on average method. But when you were saying about some other aspects, my mind started thinking about what is this market capitalization number is all about. So I took 31/3/2023 market capitalization. I found that the number first one company is about 16,77 crore. Number one. And when I go to about, let us say from 1000, from number 1 to 100, the 16 lakh crore has gone way below to just about less than 1 lakh crore in 100 itself, just in 100. Then go up to 1000, it dwindles down to just 800 crore. Go up to 1500, it dwindles down further to just 150 crore. Go to the 2000, it is 5 crore. So this number, in my opinion, is if they are looking at ease of doing business, they should also see 2023 market cap for 100 in a range of 100 top 100 companies. What is the average market capitalization? How it is so much of deviation between a particular number and the average? Then it will give a resultant figure which will be enabling compliance as well as promoting ease of doing business. For example, in the chart which you were showing previously, 17(1)(c), the number of directors shall be 6, and 17(2)(a), number of directors for minimum quorum is 3. They have put top 2000 companies. These top 2000 companies, today I checked, 31st March 2023, 5 crore only. And 100th company, I went back, it is hardly some few number of crores more. So if you, from the back, looking back from 2000. So therefore, the first case I am suggesting is that these numbers are though top 1000 only, but in terms of market cap, we are reaching top 1000 about 800 crore. And 1500 dwindles to 150 crore. Therefore, it is not a great number for such type of regulations to be introduced. Maybe this top 2000 also can be removed and made it as top 1000 or top 500 or something is my view. That is number one. Number two is the methodology. When you look at the methodology, what they have given is, instead of calculating ranking based on market cap on a particular day, they say market capitalization figures of listed entities during the preceding 6 months will be taken, July to December. I am suggesting add another factor, get a number average. For example, if I take 100, 16,77 crore to 800 crore, just see the average how it will work. Then you will get a better figure for the purpose of seeing whether this clause is necessary. Assuming all these clauses are imposing additional governance and compliance burden. Therefore, if that is the underlying premise, then we can bring some rationale which is better than, more scientific than what is applied in the suggestion that they have given. That's all for initial remarks.
Okay. So thank you. Amit, your view?
So while I appreciate the recommendation of the expert committee, they are certainly welcome because the corporate Inc. has been struggling with regard to the compliance of market cap based compliances, which are these 10 in number. And we have been debating every year in the month of April that all of a sudden we are now falling in the list of top 100 or top 250 or top 1000 or top 2000, and the compliance is triggered and we have no time literally to comply with the provision. So I completely appreciate the stand and the rationale that the expert committee has taken, that this should be changed, and changing the trigger date itself to 31st of December is certainly a welcome. So at least you have a 3 months window for doing the compliance. While I agree, but I fully endorse the view what Ravichandran sir has stated. What I will suggest, in addition to the ranking of top 100, top 250, top 1000, top 2000, there could be one benchmark market cap number also, in addition, as a qualifying parameter, which can be triggered along with this top number list. The methodology that they have adopted, that from 1st of July to 31st of December, they will take out the average, and basis that on 31st of December, they will give a ranking every year, basis which the trigger will be decided for the subsequent year and for the next 3 years particularly. This is suggestion number 1. Suggestion number 2 is, if I see myself as an auditor, then it is very difficult if I am, let us say, appointed as an auditor in the year 2, in which the company was already in top 100, and maybe currently it is not figuring out in top 100, it is in top 500 only. Now market cap has gone down. From nowhere, and from the scrape or from the BSE portal or NSE portal, I am able to figure out that this company was in 2022 or 2021 falling in the top 100 list. Is there a mechanism by which there can be some mention on the portal itself that this company was falling in top 100 in the year so and so, by some symbol or some mark? But that will help from the audit perspective, that I can know that what all compliances are triggering on that particular entity. Third point, which I am asking to myself, what will happen in those cases which are listed only for a part of the financial year? Let us say the company got listed in the month of October 2023 or 2024. So that entity will be having only very limited window of doing the market capitalization. Will that be taken as a base for ranking, or that company will be excluded for that particular year, and the next year 2025 only the trigger will happen? That is the, or maybe let us say the company is listed only on 31st of December. So are we going to take the market cap again only of 31st of December, or the company will get the exemption? So the committee should delve into this particular aspect also before giving a final recommendation to the SEBI. These are just 3 or 4 observations. Otherwise, I think it's a very welcome change.
So this is no doubt it's a welcome move. I have 2 questions, then I will have some more thing. How could the proposed 3-month grace period or the beginning of the immediate next financial year before regulation become applicable benefit listed entity? Ankit, do you have any view on this?
They benefit by giving you the time to prepare.
Okay.
So for example, if you have to have 6 directors on the board, then you have, for example, 4. And you can 3 months to appoint 2 directors.
Okay. And whether, this is very interesting, whether the unaffected price should be considered. Like in last consultative paper, the SEBI has come out with the rumor concept, and in that they discuss about the unaffected price should be considered when the listed entity confirm the price rumor due to market price movement. the question which Ankit just show this question which you were. So this question is connected to the last webinar. In the last webinar, there is a discussion that price protection concept. So suppose there is a rumor and the company has confirmed that this is a rumor, and then the price will be stopped. So Ankit, just go back.
Sir, I don't have that question. That was, I think, that was a wrong slide, I believe.
Whether
वाला question, sir, it was in the last presentation. उसमें है नहीं.
But we are able to understand the question. I think Ankit can answer that. Yeah.
So my view on that is, I think that will be making too much complex the system of making the market cap determination. So prima facie, maybe there are exceptions. I'm not ruling out that possibility. I heard the discussion what Ankit made on the last occasion with regard to the market rumor and the corrective recourse as well. But for now, I think we can keep it simple.
I think rational is also different, because there is about effect on price and how it affects future M&A transaction and corporate actions. Here it is about compliance, so we still can manage with that. It's not such a big deal.
Okay, Ankit, just show the last question, the first question.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the this first question? Do you support the proposed shift of average market capitalization over a 6-month period instead of single day for determining compliance ranking?
Absolutely, I think this is a welcome move. Instead of because of some factor on 31st March, your price was shoot up and you fall in the particular category. I think that is not justified. This is certainly a better mechanism for the purpose of triggering any particular compliance.
Okay, now I have two questions.
A very, very good example that on 30th December, for example, on 30th March, you were on 1010. And suddenly one day the price triggered, and then on 31st March you end up on 900 or 990. So that's the clear. It shows the vagueness in terms of on that account.
Okay, regarding 44.5, don't think a sunset clause is needed. Regulation already provided the market capitalization to be determined every financial year for regulation 44.5 compliance.
Sir, but there is a regulation, as I mentioned, sub-regulation 3, which is on the top of it, which says that once it is triggered for all. Then you need not to see it every year. It is for only for the first time you have to see when it is triggered for the first time, that you have to apply basis the market cap on last financial year. But once it is triggered, then you continue to apply that. There is no safeguard from that post then. Even if you see the proposed amendment, they are amending the same regulation, regulation 3, sub-regulation 2. Where this para is mentioned that it will continue to apply once, even if you are below the market cap.
Okay.
In any case, this is only for the top 100. So there is no big difficulty for them to continue to comply with this 44.5 or 44.6. Only top 100 is included in that.
Okay. The benchmark, if given, what is the view of the expert it should be?
No, I could not follow. Benchmark?
I think this is connected to...
Not able to understand the question, sir.
This is something I'll come back to.
Okay.
Now, 3 months enough for a bit more can be asked. This is somebody's asking this suggestion.
Yeah, dil mange more.
Dil mange more. Okay.
Currently, we were in a regime where we were not given a day. So 3 months, I think, is good enough period.
Okay. So now I have one concluding point, that by accepting this, no doubt this is a welcome move on one part, but on the part of the compliance officer's point of view, the data management and analysis challenge will be there, because you have to see compliance planning and resource allocation will also be there, because sometimes you are going up and sometimes you are going down. So you have to prepare yourself. And then risk of reduced governance standard. Now that is, KSR is very important. Today you are comply because you are a 1000, you come in the 1000 category. Now you are now 900, you are coming out from this 1000. and now you don't require various compliances, various things. So do you think that investor will always seek, okay, this company is out, this company is in, and now he will, once he has decided, okay, they will have now six director, they will follow this. Now suddenly this is happening, so it will not be losing investors' confidence.
See, one aspect I have made it very clear that when you're talking about 1,000 companies, the top 1,000 goes down to about 800 crore only the market cap.
Hmm.
But when we look at the number of compliances for top 1,000, I am leaving BRSR for the time being because BRSR core is 26, 27. And we are having about 7 items coming as top 1,000, which includes top 2,000 naturally. So in this 7, if you're talking about top 1,000, I don't think there is any difficulty for them to continue to comply with that despite going below 1,000 for the sunset clause for the period of 3 years. So it is definitely needed because top 1,000 is a big status, and I don't think any company would like to slip below 1,000 on account of their individual performance. On account of competitor or some other sector company's performance, they may go down. But individually, when you sit in the board within top 1,000, if I am a part of the board of directors of that company, for any reason attributable to my own performance, I would not want to go down. So that is how the feelings business feelings happen.
Okay. So in a way, the expert are in favor that this is a welcome move. Certain things which KSR and Amit and Ankit has suggested, they must work out this. And this is advisable to the companies also, that today you have a risk management committee because this is coming 1,000, and tomorrow you are going above this. So you may think that I should not keep this. So that will not be, I think, investor friendly move or company friendly move. So you can take advantage of certain things if you are going out of this, but if you are nearby, that you must follow the rule of the law. Once you are inside, then you follow this. Until less drastically from 1,000 you have gone to say half of this, and you have become 2,000 number, your position has drastically reduced because of market capitalization, unless you follow.
Sir, I
Okay.
think that issue has already been taken care by giving a sunset clause with a trigger of 3 years. Now, when you consistently are out for the 3 years, then only you are not required. So if a company is aware and conscious, so they will again work out, and their performance in the subsequent year will again be at par, and they will again continue to be required to comply with the same.
No, Amit, I'm just saying there is a one clause that one way live webcast or proceeding of AGM top 100 companies. So suppose I'm becoming 107 company. Okay, my number ranking has gone down. So I will say, no, I will not follow this. So
No,
I'm
but
just
3
saying
years
for
you will continue.
After 3
3
years.
years you will continue.
No,
That
after
he is only saying, unless the person has from 100 years fallen to 500 or 200, 300, then there is a feeling about that why should we continue and all. But if you look at these two clauses, they are not very burdensome requirements, in my opinion, 44.5 or 44.6.
yes.
But kindly take this suggestion which I gave in the preface. Top 2,000 goes down to just 5 crore. So sunset clause for such companies will be subject to the caveat I have said, whether it is needed to have top 2,000 companies with such low
That's a
figures.
very valid point.
That is the point I am trying to say as a preface.
Yes, that is absolutely right. So this is a good suggestion that you demarcate into two parts. One is the company which are a smaller capital, a smaller number, or market capitalization is fluctuating, and then they are a facing problem. Otherwise, what KSR is suggesting, we should follow this.
But instead of then market cap, sir, can't there be any other parameter like a turnover or a net profit?
There, in the Companies Act, they are specified. For example, if you talk about market cap of 5 crore and consider Companies Act, you will not find it in 149 or any other provision.
Okay, now two views has come. Too much compliances, information in duplication against ease of doing business, lead to confusion to investor, encourage longer period investment, specialization, speculation is always risky to investor, reduce compliances, how correctness, reliability of information, which is more important. So that is a view. One question is, one speaker said that the market cap was very small, but the company was still in the top 1000 and it's a benchmark should be there for a minimum market cap. What should be the benchmark? He's asking this question. That question was incomplete earlier.
I think Amit mentioned 1,000 crore.
I was mentioning this issue, taking a clue from what Ravichandran sir was mentioning. His point was also that the range of top company from to the top 200, 2000 company, I think range is quite a big. So why can't SEBI work out on a benchmarking a minimum market cap to trigger any particular compliance as well? That can also be considered maybe as a some benchmark number suggestion from for each category, top 101 as well as for each regulation, in fact, whichever.
Amit, adding to your point, Mami, 1500th company I checked. It is hardly 150 crore.
Yeah, that's what I'm also agreeing. I'm with you. What you are saying, I'm saying ki instead of having top 2000, maybe we restrict it to top 1000 only. A, B, we also benchmark with some other parameters or maybe with market cap itself for the purpose of trigger of particular compliance. And maybe there which are like general routine compliance, which are not botheration, they can be applied to the other companies as well. Like 44, I don't see that there is any much of the difficulty as far as the compliance part is concerned.
So Amit, if we can conclude like this.
One
if
second,
they should-
Pawan, before you add your concluding points. 135 net worth is 500 crore for the corporate social responsibility. This market cap is more or less reflecting the net worth only.
Yes.
So 500 crore could be the benchmark to answer in an illustrative way. I am not suggesting this should be the way, but a suggestion I am giving.
So we can say the benchmark should be 500. If a company has a 500 crore market capitalization, they should follow this in place of every time calculating and thinking on this way. ठीक है.
So, sir,
Okay.
moving ahead.
Yeah,
So,
okay, next.
Next is with respect to the proposal where the regulation provides the maximum number of membership or chairmanship of committee for a director in a listed company. And it talks about 10 committees as a member and 5 committees as a chairman. And while calculating the committees, it includes the number of audit committee, SRC. And then while calculating the limits, it also includes public companies, excluding private companies. So there is a proposal that, first of all, considering that there is already a limit of directorships on 7 companies as a listed entity, that you cannot be a director on more than 7 listed company, there is a need to then rationalize this limit specifically of 10 members. And then there was also a proposal that in considering the number of committees, audit committee and SRC has been calculated, and independent directors, there is a data which suggests that independent directors were not interested in taking the membership of SRCs, considering that they limit the total number of committees in which they become the member if they are appointed as a member of the SRC. So there is a proposal to exclude the SRC as the committee which would be considered as part of the total committees. So basically, there are three proposals. First is to only consider equity listed entities for the purpose of considering the membership of and chairmanship of committees. Second, to exclude SRC as a committee for the purpose of determining only audit committee. And since only audit committee is there and you can be a member of only 7 listed entities, the limit on total number of membership of committees, that is 10, that is also proposed to be removed. And then there will be only one limit, that is you cannot be a member of more than 5 committees. Chairman of 5 committees, that is 5 audit committees, you cannot be a chairman. Therefore, irrespective, you can be a member of any number of committees for the purpose of this restriction. And considering the fact that you can only be a director in only 7 listed entities. So this is a broad submission that was made as part of the discussion paper.
Okay. So now, first question is, the question comes, do you agree with the proposal of consider only equity listed companies will be calculated for maximum membership and chairmanship limit of the directors? So Amit and KSR, the point is they have tried to rationalize this. But do you think this is required or it will be helpful for the good governance?
I think this is in any case a welcome suggestion, because there is already a limit in which the person can be a director. It includes 7 listed entities and 3 more unlisted entities can be there. 3 more unlisted public limited companies can be there. So if I say what Ankit is saying, so in net, the only restriction henceforth would be that I cannot be a chairman in more than 5 audit committees.
Yes.
That means I can take 5 audit committees of a listed entity, 2 more audit committees of 2 more committees chairman, maybe NRC or SRC, and 3 more committees I can be a chairman, which are public limited unlisted. So in a way, I don't see that there is any challenge coming or any governance.
No, I think Amitji, unlisted will be out. Only equity listed will be considered.
No, but because restriction continues that I cannot be in more than 10 companies a director, which includes 7 listed and 3 unlisted.
3 unlisted. So unlisted you can be for n number of committees, na? Otherwise committees membership to now you can be n number of committee members.
But I cannot be a director, na? If I cannot be a director, then
yeah, in these 10 I'm talking.
I'm talking about,
yeah.
I'm talking about these 10 only. I cannot be in more than these 10. So I don't see, I think it's a very good simplification that I have to just monitor one particular compliance with regard to chairmanship of the audit committee. Rest all compliances are done away with. So it's a good moving forward. I have one doubt because when I check the compliances and the governance report of many companies, this is a question to panel. Can we club multiple committees into one committee? I've seen audit committee and risk committee as one committee. Nomination remuneration committee, CSR committee as one committee. And stakeholder relationship committee and some other committee as one committee. So there are 3 committees or maybe 2 committees just, and they are doing compliance. So what is
nomination and CSR only one?
No. He's suggesting, Ankit, suggesting.
You have
I'm not
some company.
some
company has nomination and CSR committee.
Yeah, there are companies who have a practice of having audit committee and risk management committee.
Yeah, that I've seen.
Okay. So KSR, what is your view on this? Is it good or it will create any problem?
No, it is good only. I think there is no big problem in this. The suggestion is that I cannot act as chairperson for more than 5 audit committees. Only thing which I was previously suggesting is that the position as an independent director must be seen from other directorships. And to my knowledge, with experience, I am saying to be the independent director of several companies and to also to chairperson of audit committee for 5 audit committees, it's not such an ordinary task at all. Practically speaking, I don't think this suggestion is really useful in terms of availability of time for even an independent director to sit in 5 different companies and chair 5 audit committees, irrespective of the number of other memberships and directorships he may be having. So that is a burdensome thing. Practically, if somebody has sit in the audit committee, has gone through the kind of responsibility and duties and functions for an independent director to chair audit committee and that to 5 companies audit committees. It's going to be a Herculean task. He must be somebody like Sachin Tendulkar or somebody.
So just a small contrary, so just a small comment on what sir is saying. I agree completely. It depends on the size of the listco in which the person is performing the duties as a chairman of the audit committee. So if I consider a generalized view, if I take a general view on the companies, on the size, so maybe a medium size 5 companies may not be a problem, but if a top market cap 5 companies are there, there may be a challenge. So they have not demarcated, but it is up to the management how much responsibility the management wants to give on a particular individual independent director.
But Amit, what KSR and you are saying, I have only one point. That is okay that you have removed the compliance portion of the compliance officer. But ultimately, if you are allowing more companies, the purpose of this particular law has come because you are not a superhuman. You are doing because what was happening earlier, a director is sitting in one meeting and talking about going for another meeting. So they were just coming for attendance purpose. There was no specific purpose for which they were coming. It was fulfilling. So that's why this law came that you focus. You have a limitation wherever you are working. You focus, not that you are in 10 companies and going this way and that way. And then another problem is the timeline is not spread across the year. That one particular month, there are few days. You have to be participating in one meeting, which is in India, Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, this place and that place, and in Delhi also in other place. You cannot do this. Only thing is that even if you are doing by online basis, how you are reading agenda, how you are contributing, how you are doing, it's a call. So the point is, compliance point, it is okay, but we must think that the basic aim was not that you are in 10 and 15 unlisted companies director or committee member and you are here also. So it will not be any useful. So that way we can suggest to SEBI relative to this.
But sir, then shouldn't there be a upper criteria for membership across all committees in a listed entity? Because being a member is also a challenging task. It's not just chairman. If I take the relaxation, I can become member in more than 15 committees across 7 listed entities. Assuming 3 committees are there.
Ankit, you also take this point into account. As you are saying, I am adding it. You see, we are talking about 6 directors minimum.
Okay, now Ankit, 2 questions. Considering the only equity listed will be considered, are we undermining the role and duties of the responsibility of the member of the committee in other companies which contribute more to the economic growth and take care of many stakeholders? Governance is the same. That is number 1. Second, and unfortunately, notwithstanding the legal standards, the proxy advisor have reduced. Now, this is very important. Reduce the number of listed and unlisted companies, and they are actively recommending voting against such appointments. That if you are a member in 4 more companies, they are saying. So if they are doing this, so do you think they will not again come back to this, that your appointment is there and you are fulfilling the listed company criteria, but in a 10, 15, 20 unlisted company, you are there. So they may also oppose this. What do you say?
I see market forces and market advisory are not the determinant factor here. In my opinion, it is indifferent. We are talking about whether, as a matter of regulation, should we introduce such clause, or is it too liberal? I mean, instead of looking at from any proxy advisory or an individual considered opinion of a shareholder or the board of directors or the individual director, regulatory perspective, when I see this number is going to be humanly impossible if you are going to have such liberal approach, restricting only to audit committees and that too only equity listed companies. when we have had the high value debt security listed companies, and you have only equity if it is there, it makes a lot of difference. Number two, when you say only 5 audit committee is permitted, that itself is assuming he is not member of any other committee itself is going to be humanly impossible. Number three, you cannot have the same person sitting and doing justice for promoting corporate governance at all. And number four, today when the corporate governance was introduced through class 49A, the days are different. Today we have pool of independent directors with huge experience. So if you are going to put more opportunities to the head of the same person, you are not going to see any other persons coming and adding some difference and diversity and perspective.
Okay. So now the point we can conclude this way, that this is a welcome move on the basis of compliance side, but the SEBI or committee should consider that the basic rule of this law came that directors should consider and give qualitative time in the companies and qualitative efforts in the listed company. So without affecting this, they must follow this. Next, Ankit.
So moving forward, the next is with respect to
Just before
yeah.
Ravi, any views on the clubbing of the committee titles like risk management and audit committee and NRC and SRC?
Amit,
Audit committee risk management I have seen, but not in other case. What you
From
mentioned
legality perspective, I just wanted to, because I've seen couple of
legally.
Yeah, that is out of question. That is a out of syllabus question, so we should not concentrate now. Yes, next.
The mandate is to constitute a committee.
Yeah.
So next is with respect to filling of key vacancies in key managerial persons. So I think last year LODR was amended to include a timeline of 3 months to fill the vacancies in case of KMPs, which was earlier not there, and company used to refer to the Companies Act. And but there are question that was considered by the committee that in many cases there is a need of obtaining approval from regulators, and the time that the regulators take in giving the approval is something which needs to be excluded for the purpose of calculating these 3 months. So while as part of the report, it is mentioned that the committee didn't agree to giving any blanket exemption as to whatever time the authority may take to give approval to be excluded. And therefore, instead of that, they agreed that in such cases where the approval of government or regulatory authority is required, instead of 3 months, the timeline will be 6 months, and emphasis would be on initiating the process as early as possible with respect to seeking approval. So this is the recommendation that is there. I don't know how even 3 months addition will make this something which is compliant, able to achieve compliance, because giving an approval is something which is totally out of the control of a company. And considering the time the regulators generally take in giving these approvals, additional 3 months, I don't think we'll be able to serve any purpose. I think learned other panelists can share their views. Ravi Chandran sir, if you can, or Amit. Yeah, Amit.
Yeah, Ankit, I completely echo the same point what you are saying, because if the extension of 3 months is coming only on the pretext that regulators are taking more time, so I think 3 months will not suffice. A. B. There is already a provision of interim KMP that was introduced in the last amendment. So if government, if any corporate was required to fill the vacancy within a period of 3 months of time, and that suffice for the purpose of compliance, then I don't think 6 months time is required. I'm not in support of this extension of time, only because the rationale also that is saying is only on the ground that regulatory approval takes more time. Now, maybe IRDA is taking more time, or maybe RBI is taking more time, or maybe MIB is taking more time. Now, on these three regulatory approvals, we are saying the general time for filling the vacancy should be extended by another 3 months. Maybe I think it is, to my mind, not required.
Ravi, what is your view? Ravi?
Yeah, I will, because you suddenly changed my name as Ravi. I'm used to hearing as KSR. That's it. Anyway, on the lighter side. See, this 203 itself provides a 6 months window for any office of full-time key managerial personnel. Coming to the 26A, when they are doing the tweaking of it, keeping the 3 months intact, but providing a exclusion clause for the regulatory thing. I'm not able to understand why 26A1 and 26A2 must be there, first of all. When you talk about both are same, one is talking about a few classes and another is talking about the CFO. CS is anyway not there in 26A. Okay. So first of all, this 26A could be a simple KMP across all classes, leaving 6A only for compliance officer. Number one. Number two, 3 months window is definitely a difficult one. But in my opinion, I agree with this 3 months because a company, a board of directors, as a matter of corporate governance, there must be a proper, robust succession planning. If that is not there, there is a problem for the company. So because of that only, they have put this. So when any vacancy comes, we may be suddenly visited with casual vacancies also. Even then, succession planning must have a successor. That is why this interim provision was introduced if it is subject to applicable law. Therefore, I have no problem with 26A, but I would have used 26A for bringing whole class of all the classes of KMPs within that and in one class, not necessarily for two different things. Because after all, we're talking about KMPs. That's all.
Okay. Okay. So if we can simplify this, why can't we say that there is a two part? One is where you have to take a approval from the regulator, and the suppose regulator is not giving approval, then you can take advantage of that time, because without that you can't appoint. But in normal case, 3 months time is not sufficient to appoint a profit or appoint a KMP. Because if you extend this 3 months to 6 months or more time, then people will not appoint. So today they should have the clause that 3 months time is there in case there is a genuine problem, not the problem earlier which was coming that I have applied and I have given the advertisement of a company secretary for 2,000 rupees salary, but he's not joining. So that types of things should not be there. But if you have a problem, you can come out. So that will be very simplified. Otherwise, the way I'm reading this particular changes, it is creating more confusion. And then I'm receiving for the benefit, the Companies Act requires specific committee this approval time to provide. There's a separate question. So can we move on this, Ankit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So another is with respect to harmonization of timelines of prior intimation. So if you see Regulation 29, there are 3 timelines that have been prescribed. One is with respect to 2 working days, then 5 days, and then 11 days. And 2 working days is for in all general cases, 5 working days, 5 days is for financial result, and 11 in case of change in nature of the instrument or change in nature of the due date of payment of interest or dividend or debentures or preference shares. So there are 2 suggestions that have been made under the proposal is to first of all align all the timelines to 2 working days plus the day of intimation and the day of the meeting. In all the cases, it should be 2 working days across. There should not be different timelines. And then with respect to specific, there is a requirement to give disclosures on account of fundraising proposals. So in case of fundraising proposal, it is mentioned that only in case there is a issuance of security and there is a fixation of price, then the requirement of disclosure prior intimation should be there. So like in case of money market instruments, securities instruments, there is no fixation of price. They are also not securities in many cases. So in those cases, those will not be considered for the purpose of prior intimation under Regulation 29. And third is with respect to even giving exclusion on prior intimation in case of price fixation for QIB issues on account of the ICDR regulations and the manner in which the price is determined and the practices which are being followed. It is actually a situation which doesn't requires any kind of disclosure, any kind of prior intimation, considering the manner in which the price is calculated accordance with ICDR regulations. So there are these three basic proposals that are there. Sir, for your views. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Yes, sir. Well, Amit, yes, sir. What do you say that 2 days two working days is sufficient, or it will create problem of the timeline?
No. This is very much sufficient. These
Amit,
are all the requirements which is very well thought, and the rationale is also, to my knowledge, is good. And instead of 11 days, 5 days, and different number of days, the prior intimation of 2 days, but excluding the date of the intimation and the date of the meeting.
so in a way,
you
got a 4 days.
Yes, exactly. And I think it is fine.
Amit, you view?
Yeah, I agree. As a devil's advocate, also, I was trying to find out what could be the harm if I limit the disclosure only for 2 working days. I could not find out any one because over a period of years, the market has matured enough. The settlement time has reduced. SEBI is consistently working on seamless dissemination of information. XBRL has been introduced. So many things have been done for seamless communication on the exchange portal. So why we should need even a longer period of time for the taking?
Amit, it's not a longer period. The KSR is saying for every announcement I have to see, say 2 days, 5 days, 7 days, 11 days. So that is
that is also creating confusion. And not only that, in some places it was working days, in some places it was just days. So even non-working days were counted. So from compliance perspective, this certainly is one of the ease of doing business objective.
And I think we should write in this also, wherever the 2 days are coming, you just convert to working days. It should be treated as working days.
Sir, but specifically with respect to financial meetings, I think there is also a need to correlate this with the freezing of shares. Because now, whenever you are at the end of the quarter, you have to feed the date of opening and closing in the NSDL or CDSL portal, where the shares are freezed on account of trading. And then because at that point of time, date is not finalized, then when generally what companies do, they select first date of the period and then the 45th day. And then when the results are declared, then they again go and change the date, and then which takes effect after 2 working days because of the system in which it is been calibrated. So I think in case of financial result, it can be synchronized with the closing, with the manner in which you create the closing and end period, and then it can be that as soon as the financially, if your quarter is closed, the financial result meeting is disclosed on that day itself.
Yeah, I agree. Ankit, that is regulation 30 for purpose of
no, that is for the purpose of freezing of trading on account of trading window closure under PIT.
window closure. Yeah.
Acha, on devil's advocate side, just tell me what manipulation people can do if the time period was earlier 5 days or 11 days and now it is 2 days. What wrong they can do now? In which circumstances they can take advantage?
Then the
If they are aware of
protection
the
is
result.
available in UPSI and insider trading. And a good amount of technology has helped to plug the loopholes in these insider trading regulations. And therefore, I would say the technology is aiding the process to detect any amount of manipulation or unfair practices or fraudulent practices. To my knowledge, the timeline of 2 working days is not going to give any greater handle to manipulators than what they would have had previously.
Okay, okay. And insufficient time problem will not be there?
No, there will be more time for the boardroom discussion, management discussion, presentation of notes, analysis, opinions of investors, opinions of experts. These are all required when you do. You can always take a decision. At least closer to the date of board meeting, finer and crystallized would be the thoughts.
Ankit, this 2 days is okay. So 2 working days, this is effectively 4 days. Okay. So let's move on this.
Last proposal is with respect to the gap in this
Ankit,
committee meeting.
Can you bit little louder?
Yeah, so last proposal is with respect to the gap between 2 risk committee meetings, which is currently 180 days. And I think somehow the committee was able to conclude that on account of this reason, they are required to hold 3 meetings in a year. I don't think so that is the case. First of all, there is the year has been defined as by one of the FAQs that have been issued by the exchanges, that a year has to be treated as financial year for this purpose. And even in that case, we are not finding it a case where we need to hold 3 meetings on account of this 180 days timeline. Amitji, you were you able to
I
finding
think
that
the
problem?
example, Ankit, the example what this discussion paper has mentioned is, let us say I am holding first meeting on 1st of January 2023.
Hmm.
And my second meeting will happen on 180th day. Then obviously it will be only 360 days. 5 days are still left. So the third meeting, because you cannot have a gap more than 180 days again. So you will be ending up having a third meeting also. Now maybe
But
from
then it is on the fact that you don't apply your mind by before fixing the date.
that maybe one particular situation has been considered. I particularly agree that even if this change is not happening, then it is not going to cause any undue hardship to anyone. But even if it is changing, then also it does not really make any difference, because if I have to hold the risk management committee, so I'll not keep it just because that now I have a 10 days time window. If that is a requirement of a company, if I have to meet, maybe I'll meet every 90 days. So that depends separately, but I'm okay with the proposed changes also, but I'm of the view that even the changes are not there, even then the situation is not going to cause any hardship.
Sir, you're on mute.
So this
I don't have any problem in this 200 days. 210 days is fine.
Okay, okay. So this we are agreeing that there's no issue, but I think risk management committee, which they are proposing through the law, it is a requirement of actually every company should follow this. The risk management is very tough, and they should be a part of the system, not this. They should make it a like audit committee has to do something, because audit committee you are responsible towards the other people. But risk management committee, you are responsible for the company itself. So I think they must they should make it a part that the risk management is a part of the board. Every agenda and the committee which you are making, it shouldn't be out of the legal purview, and it should be an integral part of the company.
But on a lighter note, Indian corporates, 90% are family owned, and there the promoters considered that nobody can be a better management of a risk than they themselves. So they don't give any weight, honestly. That is the reason.
And then one suggestion has come: managing risk is a serious matter and have a great impact, and would appreciate if the regulation should meet at least one meeting in each quarter. So somebody is saying that 180 days. So it should not be that it's a burdensome. It's a important for the company. So that they should follow. Okay. So okay, it will not be very the something you can advise, something you can bring out with the stick, but this is advisable that company should follow the risk management that is good for them. Okay, friend. So these were the 5 points relating to the LODR. Now we are coming to the ICDR. So ICDR.
One request, I need to go at 5:30.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'll just add some points and kindly permit me.
Okay. Yes, sir. So before you are going, you just add. So for 25, you just give your point. So now in ICDR, they have suggested and they have modified various things, inclusion of equity shares on conversion exchange on fully paid for compulsory convertible security and DR received. That is one part for minimum promoter contribution. That is very important change. Non-individual shareholder to be permitted towards contributing without becoming the promoter. And then threshold for increase or decrease issue size, triggering refiling of draft offer, because you have to, if you are changing, then you have to file this. So that they have simplified. And the flexibility to extend a bid offer closing date on account of force majeure. So one day, I think this is a technical part. The most important is the first part, which is a struggle of every company is doing. So over to you, Ruchika. Please share the first point of the ICDR change.
Thank you, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, yes, visible.
Okay. So the first change in ICDR is with respect to minimum promoters contribution. As we know, in the law presently, the minimum promoters contribution is 20% of the post-issued paid-up share capital that has to be contributed by the promoters. In this contribution, convertible shares acquired by the promoters pursuant to conversion of compulsory convertible securities is ineligible presently. Now, the suggestion is made to include those shares as part of contribution because the only condition is that those convertible securities should be held by the promoters for more than 1 year. And also, as per Regulation 8, even in offer for sale cases where there are compulsory convertible securities, and if those can be converted prior to RHP, the shares are eligible to sell through OFS. So that is the recommendation which was made by the stakeholders, and SEBI is of the view to accept this recommendation and make this change in the regulation.
Okay, KSR, do you think that this particular aspects of compulsory convertible equity of these instruments should be part of the promoter's holding? So Manoj, first you explain.
Sir, so the present legal position is that all the only those equity shares which have been created in the books before at least 1 year before the date of filing of DRHP with SEBI will be counted towards the promoter's contribution. In case there is a shortfall, then the promoter need to buy additional share or invest in additional share at the same price at which public issue is coming. Only exemption at present is to those shares which are created through bonus, that is capitalization of reserve created at least 1 year before the date of filing of DRHP. So this is the present position. In case there is a shortfall of promoters contribution of 20%, they can take support from certain class of investors like AIFs, etc. So only those are eligible to be counted towards promoters contribution. But we have seen that in recent time, many of the cases which are coming for IPO are those companies in which there are private equity funds. And we have seen that in case of private equity investments, generally the paid up capital of the company or startup companies remain very small, equity capital, whereas there are different series of convertible instruments which are being issued to investors, and sometimes to give a certain matching number or percentage to promoters also. And those all shares are generally converted just before the DRHP is getting ready or getting filed. So in such cases where the founder's equity is not very high at the time of filing of DRHP, it may be difficult for promoters to complete the 20% year mark for promoters contribution. In case, because their equity also get converted at the time when the investors convertible instruments are getting converted. So to make this problem resolved, this amendment is proposed, and I think it is a welcome move. If it is, if those convertible instruments have been bought by the promoters way back in, let's say 5 year or 7 year, and it is convertible, compulsorily convertible, then they should be counted towards promoters' contribution if they are converted into equity at the time of filing of DRHP, and that is a very good move.
Okay, KSR and KSR, you have a point? Okay, Amit, you have a point?
Manoj, I have a question to understand how you see it different from the current regulation 14 and 15 of ICDR. Because if I understand correctly, current regulation 14 of SEBI ICDR is also allowing promoters to meet the requirement through subscription of convertible securities. And regulation 15 currently is talking about the ineligibility of specified security, which includes the convertible securities for the purpose.
Yes.
So, if you can just clarify as to how these are going to be different in the proposal.
So it is simply saying that only all those convertible instruments which were allotted to the persons who are forming part of the promoter group, if they have been allotted more than 1 year ago, and they are they are owning those convertible instruments for more than 1 year, and it is getting converted just before the filing of DRHP, then they all be eligible for counting towards the promoter's contribution. So it makes the life simple. It is not necessary that you convert all the shares, all the convertible instrument at least 1 year back ago before the filing of DRHP, because basically there may be certain shareholders agreement where private equity does not allow conversion and increase of promoters holding till they get converted, their holding get converted. So because of that matching situation, paid up capital remain very small, paid up equity remain very small, and convertible remain very big with premium also. So if those are getting converted, then premium portion would also get enhanced, and it will help to restructure the paid up capital by issuing bonus shares, etc. So it makes the life very simple, and it makes the shareholding.
Clarification, or this is different from the current position? Because what I understand, this is the current position also. The regulation 14 talks about the same thing. I could not figure out what is the difference.
Okay, Amit. Let's KSR has to go. So KSR, your view on this, because that is an important point. Rest point
No,
is.
no, I fully agree. This suggestion is good, and so far as this particular thing of considering the convertible instruments also, provided there is a holding period of 1 year prior to the filing of the DRHP, I think this is absolutely fine. But I would like to add a few more thoughts and leave, if you can permit me for that.
Pardon? Yeah.
I would like to add a few more thoughts and
Yeah.
leave. The one is about the non-promoter offering to include in this thing, in a startup environment, such a kind of possibilities will be useful, because they have included the alternate investment fund as well as non-individual shareholders, of course, with a cap of 10%, 5% and all. So in a startup scenario, it may be useful, but general scenario in the era of beneficial ownership, I am not able to subscribe to a general view that in every case, this non-promoter holding will be added to be promoter holding. So that particular thing is, slightly a cause of concern from a perspective. So there could be a difference between a startup scenario and a new company getting listed and other companies. That is point number one. The point number two is on some other aspect. Otherwise, the proposals contained in this recommendation of the expert committee is good, particularly with respect to, I was happy with respect to the estimated size of the issue, and also the manner of calculating number of shares or the value in terms of offer for sale, where you need a refiling and registrar. That is good. Other than that, there is one another aspect I want to use, because Pawan has given the liberty of addressing on some other aspects also. So one aspect which has come to my mind in view of certain practical experiences, if you look at the 31A for reclassification of promoters, it comes from the promoter side only. And the definition of promoter in ICDR O, you remember the regulation O, it says way back they would have mentioned in the annual return or in the offer document somebody as promoter, they will continue to be. So there must be some number, for example, for directorship, every 5 years they have to face a general meeting. Similarly, the SEBI may consider whether those who are named long before in the annual return or the prospectus or offer document continue to be holding that control. Do they exercise significant influence, or do they have the power or voting power to have more than half of the majority of the directors in the board? So that 31A read with 200 could be a requirement, so that the board of directors sit down and see whether they continue to enjoy that position or status. Do they need it? So this will be a very important thing, because reclassification from the promoter or promoter group side, it is available, not the other way, putting a responsibility on the board, particularly in the era of SBO. That's all. I very thankfully acknowledge the beautiful service corporate professionals is doing in holding this webinar and disseminating this, dissecting these provisions and disseminating this knowledge. My thanks to all the team corporate professionals. Thank you. And my friend Amit Gupta.
Okay, thank you, Ravi. Thank you for your good wishes and a good word. I'll come to this point, minimum promoter contribution. Manoj, you have told, but the point is, the promoter contribution is one part of the instrument. The second part is the money. So valuation and pricing challenge will be there when you have a convertible instrument, say that may be preference shares, that may be convertible preference share, that will be, so that is one part. Second is market perception and investor confidence. Okay, sometimes what is happening, you have a convertible instrument which is lying there, okay, because of court order, because of some reason, because of the bank's condition, you have brought out this instrument. Then manipulation or misuse can also be there. So the point is, this is a good suggestion, but how to do this? Because tracking and because governance issue, which will be how to track this, how to make this, the capital build-up process is also there. So how to do this? So how this challenge you will address?
Practically, it is not making much difference, because it is only talking about those instruments which are basically convertible instruments already lying in the capital of the cap table of the company. So cap table is already built and number of shares to be allotted against those instrument is also pre-decided, or as per that shareholders agreement, or generally it is also forming part of the article of association of the company. So, and all these things are pre-IPO. So company is private, closely held company that time. So there is no public interest involved in such cases. And also we have to consider that this 20% criteria is also very small. In most of the cases, promoters holding does not get diluted beyond 50% through IPO. So it is for certain typical class of companies, typical type of companies where the promoters holding remain very thin at the time of going to the IPO. Let's say we are talking about the recent IPO of Medis Assist, right, where the promoters holding is very low, but there is a private equity fund which is also being disclosed as promoter because they have agreed to. But in most of the cases, they don't agree to be clubbed as promoter, and they prefer to remain in the public category. In such cases, promoters may get, and it is also difficult to justify that it is a professionally managed company where there is no requirement of promoters contribution. So it is a typical kind kind of situation where promoters holding is less than 20%, but they are not being, this company may not be categorized as professionally run company, where there is no requirement of promoters contribution. So only such cases get impacted due to this provision. And I think this provision, this simplification helps. It is not anyway hampering the process.
Okay, okay. Okay. So, any other views? Can we move second part? Ruchika?
Yes, sir. So, the next is also in line with the minimum promoters contribution, the next proposal, which is with respect to the contribution by the non-individual shareholders to fulfill the total requirement of 20%. So presently, as everyone mentioned, there is a requirement to give 20% as minimum promoters contribution. In cases where the promoter holding is less than 20%, then SEBI has given a proviso, it is there in the present law, that the minimum promoter contribution shall be 10%, and balance 10% need to be fulfilled by certain category of QIB shareholders, namely AIFs, foreign venture capital investors, scheduled commercial bank, public financial institutions, or insurance companies. So now the stakeholders have submitted that even the public category non-individual shareholders, such as any investor who has invested in the company by giving a series round of funds in the company, then they can also contribute up to a maximum of 5% in the that 10% limit, which is there for the QIB shareholders. But the only precondition for their contribution is that their shareholding in the company should be at least more than 5%. So then they can contribute up till 5% to that extent for the minimum promoters contribution to meet the shortfall.
Okay, Manoj, what will be the impact of this?
It has, again, it is for such kind of companies where there is a difficulty to achieve the promoters contribution. So there may be certain persons who are not willing to be categorized as promoter or promoter group, but they may be willing to give support, and they do not have any intent to sell the shares immediately. They may lend their share as a promoter's contribution to support the promoter's contribution, and so there will be longer lock-in period on those shares, and after that they can remain as a normal public category public shareholder. So because they are HNIs or individuals, law is saying that a certain this limit should be not more than 5%. So this is just a addition to the categories which is QIB right now.
Acha, Manoj, I have 3 questions in this. If we allow this if we allow the people, non-individual shareholder, they hold shares, it is not a dilution of promoters' accountability, number 1. Number 2, the potential conflict of interest will not arise because promoter is also there, non-promoter is also there, and then impact of decision making, and then market manipulation risk. These are the 3 aspects.
And I'll add, Manoj, Pawan sir, I'll add one more before Manoj replies to the same. Because what I understand, the concept of minimum promoter contribution was mooted in order to ensure that person who is in control of the company and who were instrumental in getting the company listed or accessing the public fund should continue to have a skin in the game.
Right.
Now, and this was to deter the fly-by-night operators and provide the public investors the assurance that the person who is controlling the company is going to be remaining there. How we are going to address this issue? Maybe we are facilitating, I'm not against the same, but this question is haunting me since the time I am reading this particular proposal. How this issue is going to be addressed?
As we are saying, we are analyzing the companies in which the promoters holding is less than 20%, right? So at the time of filing itself or post issue paid up capital base is such that the promoters holding is less than 20%. In such a scenario, we are locking 100% of the promoter's stake in any case. towards the this promoter's contribution, and they will remain lock-in for 18 months as per the norm. So the situation of skin in the game will remain the same, because they obviously they don't have the sufficient percentage holding in the company, so their stake is always 15%, let's say. So if they are having 15% stake, they will continue to have 15% stake. So it is not making any major difference as such. So
Manoj, there's a
regarding
okay.
governance and other issues, there may be certain conflict. So it is always good that let's say another group of individual public category shareholders who are having substantial chunk in the company would continue to hold those shares, and maybe the
Manoj, your voice, I think.
Screen
Okay.
is frozen.
Yeah. Amit, you want to add some more point till the Manoj comes back?
No, I completely agree what Manoj was trying to say, and I understand from where he's coming and why this particular proposal has been considered, because one part of the proposal was already there, that certain kinds of funds were already permitted to be there. So it's not very big shift from the current position. Only thing is that the persons who are holding minimum 5%, and the promoter is not able to meet that 20% threshold, those peoples will also now be able to be considered for the purpose of meeting this promoter contribution. While
Okay.
this is a welcome move, but the concerns what you have raised and I have also raised, I'm just trying to reconcile as to how these balances will be made. So what
Manoj has come. Just ask. Manoj, can you come?
yeah. So I was just saying that it is a situation where there is from the very beginning, the promoter's holding is less. So in such cases, you can hold the person responsible only to the extent of their invested amount or percentage holding in the company. So I think it will not make major difference whether it is QIB or let's say some NBFC holding certain shares in the company. So they have added certain category of person and limited those the investment to 5%. Banks and financial institutions, etc., were already allowed. QIBs are already allowed to support their investment into the company to the promoters. So generally, at the time of giving, they will do their scrutiny, and they will obviously take care of those aspects, that the promoter does not leave the company immediately after IPO, uh, uh, or remain 10% holder in public for longer time. Rest they can exit from the company. So that is up to these body corporates, or maybe NBFCs or AIFs, etc., to take care of. But SEBI will obviously, at the time of approval, they will scrutinize those persons, their credentials, their um, past track record, etc., at the time of clearance of those persons' stake to be added into promoters' contribution.
Manoj, it is true that a non-individual shareholder with a specified percentage holding, etc., to be eligible to make good the shortfall. Is it right? In
Yes,
that case, since he is not being identified as promoter, there should be a lock-in period for the portion of his contribution.
obviously.
But it is not.
They have to lend, yeah. So they are agreeing for a longer period of lock-in. Generally, the lock-in is for 6 months. All pre-preference, all pre-IPO holding will remain in lock-in for 6 months. But these promoters' contribution category shares would remain lock-in for 18 months. So obviously, they are agreeing to that.
Okay. So now, in your opinion, subject to all these precautions, which I told, the valuation aspect, everything should be very clearly, this is a welcome move.
It is not.
Okay.
It is just an ease of doing things. It is neither impacting anyway the market. If such companies in which promoters holding is less and they are coming out with the IPO and people are willing to invest, then it is not making major difference as such. And it is just that those companies would also be allowed to go into IPO market without having compelling the promoters to put their shares for 18 months.
Manoj,
lock-in.
just tell me, when there is a general meeting and these are the shareholders who are controlling more than the promoter. Okay. And do you think they can't control the decision-making process? Because
Then they can negatively control, they can obviously obstruct the process in many of the cases, but that is happening in any case, they can do anyway. So
no,
it is
Manoj,
not
like
very
this
difference.
is a political system. I'm supporting outside the government, and
Yes,
but you
it
have
is
to
like
follow
supporting from outside. Yes.
outside. Okay, so this is just like a political system which we are seeing every day in India. Okay, next, Richka.
Yes.
Pawan sir,
Ah.
can we just think of, means this is one solution which the expert committee has given. I'm just thinking, cannot we think, because what we are trying to find out is a situation where promoter is not able to meet the threshold of 20% to meet the IPO requirement. What if I classify this entity as a promoterless, professionally managed company, and we propose that entire pre-IPO shareholding will be logged in for 18 months of time. So will this not be a better proposition that actually the company is not having any promoters, and everybody, no single individual will be having any control, and your lock-in will also continue for 18 months of period. We are not hiding anything, and at the same time we are able to unlock the potential of the public issue as well.
I think, yeah, Manoj.
Sorry. I
Yeah,
think
Manoj, tell me.
it is the situation. It is the situation where the company is not able to fulfill the criteria of being professionally managed company, where there is no requirement or no identified promoter, or in some cases even specifically SEBI wants certain person to be disclosed as promoter, considering their track record that they are managing the affairs, they are controlling the policy decision making, etc. Obviously they don't have the capacity to control the board of directors because they are not having certain percent, more than 50% equity, but still they are managing certain things, and without that person a company may not run. So they want to hold those persons responsible as promoters, and that's why and considering the facts of the case, it may not be considered to be a professionally managed company. Hence it is necessary to have promoters contribution. Otherwise, obviously, if you are giving this flexibility, so everyone would, in such cases, would like to have professionally managed company, because being a promoter is not a some advantageous situation for such persons. It is just an obligation. Additional burdens are there for being a promoter. If he is a director, CEO, certain obligation would be there. But adding to this the category of promoter, there are certain restrictions. So they are why this person would take additional restrictions on themselves. That need to be seen.
But Manoj, is it not that because of the new guideline of SEBI is very tough for promoter for violation and then freezing of shares, so people are following this route? That is not a better route for them.
Or not following, sir. If they have the holding, then there is no question. If the person, a group of person is holding 50%, 50%, 40%, then I don't think SEBI would ever allow such persons to take support from outside. Obviously not. In such cases, they would be either promoter or promoter group persons or entities. So only in such scenarios where there is no identified persons who is controlling or who has a big chunk of shares in the company post issue scenario, then this situation comes.
Okay. Okay. Next, Ruchika.
Yes, sir. So, next amendment is with respect to the existing provision for refiling of offer document with SEBI. So, presently, the provision is that in case of fresh issue, if there is any increase or decrease in the estimated issue size by more than 20%, then you have to refile the DRHP. And in case of an offer for sale, if there is any increase or decrease in either the number of shares offered for sale or the estimated issue size by more than 50%, then there is a requirement for refiling. So in this provision, stakeholders have sought various suggestions. They have given various suggestions. First one is that what is the meaning? What does this term estimated issue size refers to? So I would take up this and then we'll come to the next point. So what recommendation has come is that the estimated issue size is with respect to the rupee value of the size of issue, and which is as disclosed in the DRHP or in the cover letter which is submitted with SEBI while filing the DRHP. That is what SEBI has clarified. Manoj sir, would you like to add on something over it? I think it's just a clarification.
Yeah, so it is just a clarification. And yes, the issue size is defined. Whatever in case of fresh issue, it need to be disclosed in the form of money to be raised or number of share to be issued. Whereas in case of offer for sale, it is money to be raised is the criteria. That is what SEBI is clarifying. And then they are saying the I think second size with respect to size. I think next question is more relevant than this.
Yes, sir.
No, Manoj, I have a point on point number 3.
Yeah.
The estimated issue size is not is a clear definition, number 1, because definition clarity it should be there, and the
Yeah.
risk of market manipulation will not be there in this, because you are not you are giving estimated size and then you can change this, and the compliance complexity will not increase for the issuer.
No, it is simply saying that in case of fresh issue of capital, you have to disclose both the things, number of shares. In case you are disclosing number of share in the DRHP, then estimated money to be raised will be given as a cover letter to SEBI. And in case you are giving, or alternatively, you are giving amount to be raised, then you are giving estimated number of shares to be issued in the cover letter. So in that both the cases, SEBI would know what is the estimated number of shares and what is the estimated amount to be raised in case of fresh issue. Whereas in case offer for sale, what money promoter want to get from the promoter or selling shareholders want to take out from the market is more relevant than number of shares. So they may auction their entire share to get a smaller amount. Let's say they need 100 crore and they have, let's say, 50% stake in the company. They can sell entire stake also, or they can sell, let's say, 20% only. So whatever the market value would be, based on that they would decide the number of shares. So here the amount to be taken out from the market is more relevant than number of shares. That's why they are saying in case of offer for sale, the amount to be raised is more important, and that need to be disclosed. And in case of there is a variation beyond the threshold given, there will be a requirement of fresh filing. I think Ruchika, next.
Okay. So the other change.
Ruchika, next point.
Yes, sir. So the other change in this provision is with respect to offer for sale cases. In offer for sale cases, the requirement for refiling triggers when there is a change in either of the limits, that is the estimated issue size or the number of securities. Now, stakeholders suggest that considering the increase or decrease in the size of issue should be based on either of the criteria, not both. So that is what they have requested for. I'll just show you a table which depicts how the change is calculated. So let's say in initially when DRHP is filed, the valuation of per share of the company is 1,000 rupees per share, and the shares being offered as offer for sale are 1 crore. So the total issue size is of 1,000 crores. Now let's say revision is being done and the valuation of, considering the market scenario, the valuation per share reduces to 700, and even the shares offered by the selling shareholder or promoter reduces to 70 lakhs, which is 30% of the pre-filed number. Then the percentage change with respect to the issue size is 51%. As earlier, the offer for sale size was 1,000 crores. Now it is 490 crores. And the number of shares change is 30%. So if either of the criteria is triggering, then you have to do refiling. Now, the only thing which for which clarification is sought, that that whatever you will disclose in the DRHP, that would be the trigger event for you to do the refiling. If you have disclosed number of shares, then you will have to refile on the basis of that change. If you have disclosed the size, then on the basis of that change. That is the only suggestion they have made.
Okay, Manoj, your view on
I
this.
think it is logical. They have So they have not accepted increasing the threshold for refiling. They have said that any of if there is a increase, decrease in the size by beyond the threshold given. So for offer for sale, this threshold is 50%. In case you increase the size of issue by 50% or reduce the size by 50%, then you need to refile the offer document, DRHP, with SEBI for clearance. Similarly, for fresh issue of capital, the threshold is 20%, and they have refused to consider the recommendation to increasing to 35%. They are saying no, 20% is material change, and any of the in case of fresh issue, either number of shares is increasing beyond 20% or amount to be raised is increasing, decreasing by 20%, then it is necessary for company to go for refiling. So I think that is I think it is not a good suggestion to increase this threshold. 20% is substantial amount and substantial value for fresh issue.
But Manoj, do you think it's not an inadequate time for investors' reaction?
It is not. I think they have refused to consider this the change. So they are saying we have to refile, and refiling means everything will be afresh. So at least 1 month public comment period would be there.
Okay. So any other point in this, Ruchika? We have covered all the points.
Yes. Last point, sir. This is
One
with
last,
respect
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is with respect to flexibility to extend the bid of a closing date on account of force majeure events. So presently, as we have seen in all the IPOs, generally the issue opens for 3 working days. Manoj sir, 3 working days, am I right? It is
Yes, 3 working trading days. Yes.
Trading days, exactly. So generally, if you have to extend, then you can give your reasons in writing to SEBI, and you can extend it to additional 3 working days. And so the stakeholders have sought and have requested that this extension should also be allowed for 1 working days in cases when there is any force majeure event or any bank strike or any event which is beyond their control. And Manoj sir was also mentioning that there was one of the case in last year in which extension was granted for 1 day. So they have specifically recommended that in cases where there is a change in price band, where the investors need to absorb the information and need to invest accordingly, then the extension would be for 3 working days only. And if there is any force majeure event, then probably they'll allow for 1 working day also. So that
Manoj, it will not be challenge for the issuer and intermediaries?
Then practically, I think this is also very few cases where there has been change in the timeline due to strike, etc. on force majeure. I think I could find only 3 instances. One was in 2012 when SRG housing public issue was there, and because of 2 days bank strike, they have increased the timeline by 3 days. So similarly, ITI FPO was also there, I think, in 2020, in which it is a government company. So in FPO, they have to increase by 3 days because of this public bank strike. Now, and recently, I have found that in case of India Forge, the issue was extended by 1 day, though there is no legal provision of 1 day increase. But because the date on which the issue was getting closed was supposed to be 1 day before, was supposed to be the Bakrid, June 28th. But the Bakrid got extended to 29th, and hence bank market was closed on the closing date of the issue. So I think the SEBI has allowed 1 day extension, and the issue closed on 30th of June 2023. So they have already considered this. What is the recommendation or what is discussion going on? It has already been considered and approved in case of India Forge. So it will come in writing. That will make the life easier for others.
What will happen, like tomorrow is stock exchange is open, because Saturday there comes. So in this
right, a special trading session is there.
So will you absorb this date, or it's a bonus for you?
No, so obviously, if let's say someone has planned for a public issue and they have considered three days till Monday. and now Saturday is one extra trading day, so there may be bidding period will continue for 4 days here, but that will not be disclosed anywhere because it is start date and end date which is disclosed. So let's say one has opened for 18th, 19th, and 22nd. So 20th is also one extra day is available, and banking operation is also there. So so bids can continue to be there, but that is not making any difference. Only in such cases where bids stops due to bank strike or some natural calamity or something, or due to, let's say, holiday getting changed, like in case of Eid, the date can shift, then such situation can come.
I'm getting a considering the climate change, which is the unpredictable and virtually throughout the normal life for more than what we imagine. Instead of reducing it, it should be it should be as it is, or make it for 5 days.
No, I don't think it is recommendable. Right now, 1 day's cost of money is very high and issue size is very high. So investors are panicking even for 3 days. 1 day extension is always a very challenging thing. Investor would not agree to get the money, get the share allotted 1 day extra. So I think this time would get reduced, not get increased in any case. Though the flexibility is there, anyone can have it for 10 days, but nobody is keeping it because investors who are putting the bids on first day, they would not like to keep holding the money in their account for 5 days. It is not possible. And that's why T+2 trading start date is being considered by SEBI, T+3 in place of T+6 for IPO listing.
Okay. So thank you very much, Manoj. Thank you. We have covered all the questions which we have received, and we have discussed all 10 points which are there in 5 there and 5 in ICDR. Now, before closing this, I'll take view that what do you feel the overall situation? So Amit, you can cover LODR, Manoj Ruchka, you can cover the ICDR. So what is your view, Amit? The entire overall this
I think as
suggestion?
far as the changes are concerned, it's a good beginning. I still remember the transition to SEBI LODR from the earlier regime of regulatory framework of listing agreement. Now we transitioned, and it was good, and we were given the understanding that it will be more a principle-based legislation. Over a period of time, I think we have seen a lot of micromanagement, and good that SEBI has constituted a committee, that expert committee is now looking into again, and perhaps they have done justice with at least the first set of recommendation what is coming out. I'm sure many more are coming, though we have not discussed in the today's session, but there are many more areas in which we are expecting the relaxation or modification to suit to the requirement of the corporate India. We are awaiting for many more such recommendations.
Okay. Ruchka, for ICDR.
Sir, the moves which SEBI is proposing are very welcoming, and this would, of course, help the intermediaries and the issuers to, get clarity and raise fund easily. So I think these suggestions are good, but there are many more changes which are required in the specific chapter for IPO, for which we can also write to SEBI further. So I think these are welcoming moves from my side. Thank you.
Manoj, what is your view?
I think, as everyone is saying, many of the changes are required, and time is obviously because time is changing very fast. So time also, the technologies are also getting changed very fast. So considering those, SEBI is continuously changing the law, and that will continue. I believe this is the first consultation paper, and even beyond consultation paper, there are many discussions which are underway at various level at SEBI. So SEBI would revamp those things, and I believe that all tertiaries law like SEBI regulations should be as speaking as possible. So wherever there is a confusion, there should be clarity given. Like in case of when first time the PIT regulation came with commentary below that helped a lot. So similar, though those people are saying that there had been certain further confusions created through those commentaries, but still it is drafted by regulators. So as clarificatory it should be, it should be given. So the ICDR regulation and LODR regulations should also be in similar fashion, and whatever confusions are coming in the minds of stakeholders should be addressed immediately. That should be the way forward, I think.
So thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Ruchika and Amit, and KSR. He has already gone, and then Ankit. So friends, it's a time to end. We are just crossing 4 minutes. So as we have to close at 6. So friends, this journey of knowledge sharing will continue, and we are trying to identify the best questions. So just I'm capitalizing whatever the summary today. The market capitalization concept, 79% said yes. Second point, Shivam, next second. Membership and chairmanship agree 63%, disagrees 33%. Then filing of key managerial person, 52% say yes, that 3 months time and 6 months time, and then no, 30% and 8% are unsure. Timeline for prior intimation of board meeting, that is 2 working days, 81% support, that is overwhelming, opposed 13%, and no opinion 6%. Gap between meeting risk management committee, 180 to 210 days, 49% say yes and 41% say no. So this is one point where people have no much clarity on these aspects. Next. Minimum promoters contribution, 81% overwhelming majority is saying yes. It should be convertible instrument should be part of the promoter contribution, which is more than 1 year, and no is 11%. Next. So next.
Really next.
Okay. Non-individual shareholder contribution, that is 43% say yes, 36 no. So here there is a confusion. If I'm unsure 21% and I divide 11%, so maybe this is a majority, but majority people, that sizable number of people are not also in favor of this. Next, threshold for change in issue size, that is 78% say yes. That is a good suggestion which SEBI has prescribed, and only 17% say no. Next, threshold change in issue size. Now, 23% say this 50% plus minus 23, 100% 8%, and no change 69% they are saying. So that is then flexibility in extending bid offer period. 75% say yes, and no 19%, and unsure 6%. So thank you, participant for this poll. And this poll helps a regulator to gauge the market based to understanding of the particular subjects and topic. So now come to the end of this program. So we continue our journey of knowledge sharing, and proactively we are working out, and always we are selecting topics which are relevant to the corporate and relevant to the market at that particular time. So we have selected next webinar's topic because 26 is a Friday, but that is a 26 January. So that's why we will not have program, and the next program will be on 2nd February, and that will be 160th webinar, and that will be a very interesting topic. You must be knowing the Kolkata Stock Exchange is a stock exchange which is recognized, and they have earlier they were dormant, they were not active, but they got some court approval and other thing, and they are becoming now as a stock exchange. So, and the interesting part is they have become active, and now they are sending notices to all the companies. If you are suspended, you get it, you do compliance. And then if you are not paid the fees, you pay the fees. If they are not doing, then they are sending threatening letter to defreeze of the freezing of the promoters and directors account. And they had done it also of so many companies. Now, as per the law, because you are not providing any services, you are not doing anything, and you are taking this harsh route because regulator has given you power of freezing the account. So that is one challenge which various companies are facing. They have issued 1100 notices to 1100 companies which are listed at Bombay Stock Exchange and NSE Stock Exchange, and they are on the nationwide. But this stock exchange, which is nowhere, is not providing any trading, any facility, anything. Now suddenly they wake up and now they are sending notice, not only notice, but they are freezing the account also. So we want to discuss the entire issue on Kolkata Stock Exchange, resolving regulatory challenge in respect of freezing of promoters, directors' demat account, and delisting of shares. Because sometimes you are not interested in continue and you are getting this type of notice. What is the way out? Because you will not continue in this stock exchange until the stock exchange is very active and providing liquidity to you. Because stock exchange is a manufacturer of liquidity. And if you're not providing any liquidity, what is the sense to list? So next webinar on 2nd February, 4 p.m., we will meet again and we will discuss threadware, this particular issue. Ravi, Prakash and Anjali will be there, those who are handling Kolkata Stock Exchange, and we'll try to get somebody from Kolkata Stock Exchange also, some promoter also who has faced this problem relating to this. Till then, happy Ganatantra Divas, 26 January, and happy Ram Ji Ki Vapsi on 22nd. So we will all celebrate on 22nd. Until then, thank you very much. See you on 2nd.